Okay, hey, so welcome to topic 4. So this week you're looking at Civil War and Reconstruction. Your first discussion response is dealing with General Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. He was far more successful than previous Union generals. Why was that? Was it the timing? Was it his tactics? Was the South completely without hope and therefore easily defeated? What was it that he had that everybody else didn't? You're looking at that for your first discussion response. Your second discussion response, you examine Reconstruction, the intention versus the result. So the intent was, we're going to build the South, we're going to promote equality. The result was a disaster. The Union wound up pulling out, which of course, by the time of Reconstruction, the Civil War is over, the nation is unified, at least in theory. But we see almost 100 years later, things like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, because the South implemented these Jim Crow policies, these black codes. Many discriminatory practices were still going on. So we see in the mid 1900s these legislative acts to end this discrimination, this segregation. You see Brown versus Board of Education in the 1950s. We need the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to finally bring that to pass. There were these literacy tests and poll taxes preventing many people from voting. Even after the 19th Amendment in 1920, after it was ratified and added to the Constitution, giving women the right to vote, they were still precluded from voting in many areas through these discriminatory practices. So that's why in 1965, we see the Voting Rights Act. In 1968, we see the Fair Housing Act. Reconstruction had good intentions, but just like us, we can have dreams and goals, and unless we are taking action toward those, that's all they're ever going to be, is a dream and a goal. So we see that's sort of what Reconstruction wound up being, was a goal with no steps, no action. And then we see these legislative actions finally in the 1900s coming to pass so that Reconstruction, the goal of Reconstruction, is finally realized through action. And that's an important lesson for us as we look at our personal lives. Are you where you want to be? If not, are you doing something every day to change that? It's a really important example for us. Okay, then you have a Civil War and Reconstruction character study. So you'll pick somebody from the list and make sure that you meet the minimum word count. Make sure that you use at least the minimum number of sources. That helps to inform. Often what I see, if somebody misses the word count, they fall short. Often they only have one source. And so if you would meet the minimum number of sources, you would have more than enough words, typically. So keep that in mind. All right, and remember participation all week long. Reach out with questions and have a great week.